YNW Melly was just seen yelling at his lawyers during his latest court hearing, the news reported. This hearing marks the first time YNW Melly has publicly gone against his legal team's advice in court, as he was seen shouting at them.
Yes, sir.
Against our advice, our client must proceed.
You objected to their request. We need to determine if it's automatic stay.
Based upon what our client has instructed us, yes, sir.
The argument in court is about whether W. Melly is part of a gang. One piece of evidence the prosecutors want to use is a Facebook post showing W. Melly with Young Thug. They're using this photo to claim that Melly is part of the Red Street gang.
Same thing, the use of the slap term, 5-point star, snake. He's saying he's YSL, hanging with him. And he puts up his YNW for life hashtag on it with Mr. Devins has the big B hand signs displayed.
Okay, and these individuals again, I'm assuming that's also Young Thug. That's also unknown.
Yes.
Also important to your investigation, correct?
Yes.
Also publicly available for anyone to see and capture.
Where you see YNW Melly yelling at his lawyers. People inside of the courtroom overheard it and said, quote, "I don't care, I'm not in no gang." They can't prove that.
I'm aware that it's 924-071. Call for an automatic stay while
they were aggravators. They go to membership in a gang. There are things that the jury would have to find before going into penalty.
Not aggravator, that's the death. Only aggravator, that's the gang enhancement itself, Your Honor. That was charged. He was charged in committing the murder for the presence of the gang, which is an aggravator in terms of the guilt.
something that they would have to find by way of an interrogatory.
Yes.
But it's important to understand why Melly doesn't care if that evidence gets used in court. You'd think it would hurt his case in front of the jury, but the truth is deeper. If Melly's lawyers succeed in getting the evidence thrown out, paperwork and legal delays that follow could push the trial back. Until 2027, that means YW. Melly would be stuck in jail for 7 to 9 years without ever being convicted.
I do find this case to be under the most compelling shift. Mr. Devins, as I sit here today, has been in custody for 2,339 days. Besides Mr. Devins' cases, which I've removed, this division currently has 38 other cases, special set for trial. 22 of those are cases. Numerous of those are cases. And right now, this division has trial special set in December of 2026.
But the state actually wants to delay the trial again, trying to gather and include a lot of new evidence against Melly to strengthen their case. Their goal is to make sure he gets sentenced to life in prison.
And finally, Judge, just so, again, the record's clear, given Judge Murphy's order, and there would be an intent to comply with it, what the court is compelling the state to do is to go forward with evidence that has been suppressed. In other words, we would not be able to use that evidence. Right.
As of now, the attorneys could go to the appellant court and request that they issue a stay or place a hold on the trial, and that seems to be the only way that this trial does not move forward on the scheduled date. So if that doesn't happen, Melly trial number 2 will begin in about 2 months.
This led YW Melly's mother to go on Instagram Live after the court hearing, where she shared the official update on when the trial is finally set to begin.
Basically what happened today is the judge has said we are not delaying trial. We will be going to trial September 10th, even though there's things that's up with the 4th DCA that has been ruled to be suppressed and not able to be used in the upcoming trial. The judge is just upholding those orders. So therefore, all of basically what was up on appeal was all of that stuff, what they were using as an enhancer in order to get the death penalty qualified. The judge ordered all of that to be suppressed. So moving forward onto the new trial, the state will not be able to bring in that evidence.
At the end of the hearing, Willie's lawyers also requested that he be released on bond until his trial begins in September. Unfortunately, the request was denied. As reported, Melly's reaction after not receiving bond in his double murder case, he's now spent 2,320 days in jail without a conviction. Despite the denial, Melly actually scored a major win in court that could help his release in the coming weeks. An FBI agent took the stand, one who specializes in cell phone data analysis. Melly's legal team questioned this agent about their analysis of Melly's phone from the time of the crime, which could play a key role in proving his innocence.
Based on the information, you can't really tell the court precisely which locations these phones are calling in, can you?
One of the limitations of cellular analysis is that you can only say a general area where the device would be at any time.
All right. So even with the general analysis, all of the stuff that we've gone through for about 4 or 5 hours, at the end of the day, you can never give an exact location.
True.
And could you tell if somebody was walking around a car with the phone? Would you be able to tell that?
No.
So it'd be your testimony that this phone, 9807, could be from here to here, correct?
Yes.
However, what came next in the courtroom made things even more interesting. DNA specialists took the stand to present findings from the items recovered both at the crime scene and inside the Jeep that the YW boys were driving. This turned out to be Melly's biggest win in the case so far. According to the report, the DNA analyst confirmed that YNW Melly's DNA was not found on several key items tied directly to the crime. This could seriously weaken the prosecution's argument and potentially help Melly's defense in a major way.
So going to item number 22, the swab from the Gucci sandals. We're able to compare the profile from Mr. Demons as opposed to the profile developed from those sandals.
I did, and he was excluded.
The stain on the front of the t-shirt, item number 23, we're able to compare Mr. Demons' profile to that.
I did a comparison, and he was again excluded.
What about item number 24, the cutting of the stain of the rear of the t-shirt?
After comparisons were done, he was excluded.
Okay, then on item number 25, the swab of stain from the Air Jordans.
Again, an exclusion.
Going on to item number 26, the swab from the yellow jacket.
An exclusion as well.
And in terms of the item number 27 and 28, the swabs at the Gatorade bottles. What were the results on that?
Those were both exclusions.
However, Melly's DNA was found on the car door handle butt that was expected since there's footage of him getting into the vehicle. But here's where it gets deeper. With YW Melly clearly seen entering the car and his DNA confirming that it raises even more questions suspiciously about rapper Frito Bang's possible involvement. It's exactly what the feds are now focused on. They claim to have evidence showing YW Melly was picked up by Frito Bang right after the crime happened. According to investigators, cell phone data shows Melly jumping into a bush and then getting picked up by someone unidentified at the time, though they now believe was Frito.
And Chris Thomas are. So what you're also going to find out is while Mr. Demons is out there on the side of the road, 4 in the morning, 4:42 specifically, he sends a drop pin, digital homing beacon, to his current location to one of his friends, Frederick Gibbons. Frederick Gibbons is also involved in the music industry, and he asked to be picked up. Frederick Gibbons then, about 11 minutes later, has sent another drop pin where Mr. Demons has moved a couple of meters. What you're going to find out as well, though, is these digital leashes, they have more than just phone calls.
Now, the feds wanted answer specifically why Frito Bang picked up YW Melly after the crime, so they took a drastic step. The news reported a no communication order has now been filed in the YW Melly trial. This means Melly and Bortland are no longer allowed to talk to each other at Elno, speaking no messages through lawyers nothing. The prosecutors are clearly applying pressure, and many believe this is a tactic to force Bortland to flip on Melly by trying both of them together in the next trial. The feds are hoping Bortland will break and snitch to save himself.
Issue here, and you can try them together. It is to the benefit of the state to try them together. Just more efficient. You don't have to do things again and again. Do it all at once, and also you get a better chance of having them incriminate each other during the trial. It benefits the defense to sever it. That way they can point the finger at each other and get away with it. So this is what's going on. But I don't think it should be automatically severed because the state is seeking penalty for Melly, because It's only the penalty phase of the trial that would be different, not the guilt phase. The guilt phase is the same. They're both capital crimes. You're seeking the penalty on one, not the other, but that goes into the second part of the trial, the penalty phase, only if Melly is found guilty.
If Bortland knows he didn't commit the crime, there's no way he's just going to sit through trial and quietly accept a life sentence. That's why it's looking more and more likely he'll end up pointing the finger at Melly especially. Since Melly's own legal team already tried to do the same to him during the original trial, what most people don't realize is that Melly's lawyers had already started building a case that shifted the blame onto Bortland from day one.
Those were his lies. Cortland Henry shows up at Memorial Hospital, Miramar. You don't see him sitting there, but where you will see him sitting is in the driver's seat of a car with two bodies, car riddled with and when he shows up with a change of clothing, change of shirt, powder residue on his hands, evidencing that he had discharged a firearm. And he lies. He lies about where the incident occurred. He lies about how it occurred. And he lies about not having a phone. I think it was Miss Bradley herself who said, everybody has a phone in his pocket, not Cortland Henry.
Melly's own lawyer revealed that it was Bortland who had been lying to the feds the entire time. It was the one with gunpowder residue on his hands and also the last person seen with Juvie and Sackhazer before they died. To back this up, Melly's legal team even brought in the forensic expert who handled the case to confirm that the residue was found on Bortland, not Melly.
So the right hand of Cortland Henry contained 0 particles characteristic of residue and two component particles, and the left hand contained 1 particle characteristic of residue and 1 2-component particle.
Okay. And can you explain to us what that means?
Basically, overall, there was residue present on the hands.
All of this explains why YNW Bortland has stayed completely silent on social media for over a year. The last time he tweeted was on the same day Melly's mistrial was declared. He posted a cryptic message that said, "Mind games don't work," on people like me, along with a handshake emoji, almost as if he was signaling that he'd made some kind of deal. Prosecutors believe that having Bortland cooperate will help clarify one key part of the case, what really happened just 5 hours after the murders. That's when Melly and Bortland were caught on camera dancing in a parking lot with no sign of remorse. The prosecution recently updated their evidence file, revealing that Melly may have unknowingly admitted to the murders of Sackhazer and Juvie in that very footage.
Melly still turned regardless of what happened this early morning. He's still out here being very positive. Turned still. Hey! But no, still turned, regardless of what happened. You already know.
Showing not even an ounce of sadness for the passing of their 2 best friends. However, without his knowledge, he was filmed again 30 minutes before the crime. Melly was seen exiting the studio by himself, sitting directly in the back left seat of the Jeep where he would sit and wait for Sackhazer Juvie Bortland to get in.
Excuse me, you're able to see? Yes? All right.
Showing no sign of sadness after the loss of their 2 close friends, Melly was later caught on camera again, this time just 30 minutes before the crime happened. He was seen leaving the studio alone and getting into the back left seat of the Jeep where he waited for Sackhazer Juvie and Bortland to join him.
Can you state your name? Your full legal name for the jury.
Leon Phillips.
Okay. And are you related to one of the kids in this case?
Yes, I am.
How so?
I'm his mother.
And who is that?
Christopher Thomas.
Ms. Phillips, did you see who entered into the occupants who entered into that gray Jeep?
Yes.
Do you recognize where your son entered that gray Jeep?
Yes.
Which seat, if you can identify for the jury?
He got in the back seat on the right hand side.
Did you recognize the individual that got into the back seat on the left side, the rear driver's side?
Yes.
And who was that individual?
Janelle.
But did you know that YNW Melly's chances of being found guilty in his September trial have jumped by 95%, gotten so serious that some people believe the Florida court system might be corrupt after what just happened. Prosecutors recently struck a deal with Melly's ex-girlfriend Mariah Hamilton. Before Melly's original trial, he allegedly forced Mariah to leave the United States so she couldn't testify against him. She was supposed to be a key witness, but never showed up, making her a wanted person for years.
Mariah Hamilton is spending her first day at the Broward County Jail. She has no arrest record until now. U.S. Border Patrol agents arrested her at Miami International Airport Monday after she arrived on an international flight. Court records show Hamilton was ordered to testify in Demon's first trial in 2023.
However, sources confirm that Mariah returned to the U.S. because she wanted to see her family. But as soon as she landed at the airport, she was arrested and taken to county jail. She struggled a lot while locked up and during her first court appearance. The judge gave her one chance at freedom. He told her, if you agree to testify against Melly, you're free to go. Or he could even finish. Mariah agreed. This was the worst possible outcome for Melly. Shortly after, she posted on Facebook, "Thank you to my village. I love you all so much. God's plan, not mine." The prosecutors want her to testify because they reportedly found evidence in her iCloud account showing that Melly forced her not to testify during the first trial. That's considered witness tampering, a charge that can carry a life sentence, even if Melly isn't found guilty of killing Zach Hazer in juvie.
State filing 6 new charges against Demons and 2 others who were allegedly involved. The charges include tampering with a witness, directing the activities of a criminal, solicitation or conspiracy to commit tampering, and unlawful use of a two-way communication device. Now, a couple of those charges actually carry a life in prison sentence if there's a conviction.
Now, it's important to understand that the witness tampering case is completely separate from the charges related to the deaths of Zach Hazer and juvie. Prosecutors claim they have evidence showing that W. Melly used jail phones to repeatedly call Mariah, pressuring her to leave the United States so she couldn't testify. Things got so serious that Melly's mom, Jamie, even did an interview exposing the county jail for cutting off Melly's phone access altogether.
My son has not been convicted of anything, and even other inmates that have been convicted or anything, they have the right to use a telephone. They have a right to just to be allowed to write letters to their loved ones, to receive their mail. They hold his mail, they don't give it to him.
But if the evidence is real fit, W. Melly used the jail phone to pressure Mariah, that's exactly why they've taken away his phone privileges. The scariest part is that authorities likely have solid proof stored away. They wouldn't block Melly from the phones just on suspicion, because doing that without hard evidence could lead to a massive lawsuit. But things just got even worse for Melly. Police were just granted permission to use Borland's full interrogation footage from the night of the crime. This never-before-seen video allegedly shows Borland lying to detectives in order to cover for Melly, which could be a major turning point in the...
Okay, tell me what happened.
Man, I was playing music, getting off the exit. I was already getting sleepy, almost home, you know what I'm saying? And like, just out of nowhere, like, I just heard, you know what I'm saying? So, and I ducked down, you know what I'm saying, in the car, and I almost crashed the car.
Let me back you up a few minutes. Where were you coming from?
I was coming from the studio, from Fort Lauderdale.
Fort Lauderdale studio. Which way did you take?
I took I-75, 595 to
75. Then you took 75 south?
Now, it became obvious to the officers that Borland's story wasn't making any sense. He was trying to stay calm and confident, acting like everything added up. As the interrogation went on, the cracks in his story started to show, and eventually he got caught in a lie.
Here's the hard part, where we're having a hard time to understand, is that we shut down that entire area, and we had officers shoulder to shoulder walk it out. They didn't find as much as one shell casing. They didn't find one piece of glass. Nothing. Nothing to what you said adds up. And it's hard.
Bro, I'm telling you, bro, that's like...
I mean, for whatever reason, your two friends, are these your good friends?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. These are my...
These are your two, I'm assuming, close friends.
Yeah, we got.
And you're doing them an inservice by not telling us the truth.
I'm telling you the truth, sir. I don't like. How? What do you want?
How do you make shell casings disappear?
I don't know. How can I tell you about a shell case?
But this is where the interrogation took a turn for the worse. W. Bortland started getting angry with the officers because they weren't fully buying his story about what happened to his two best friends. Frustration grew as it became clear they were poking holes in his version of events.
I told y'all the story, and that's it, bro. I don't even talk about it anymore. Like, cause I told y'all. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know.
Okay, just so you know, all right, because you're saying, well, I don't want to talk anymore. There's going to be a lot more questions. And we're not trying to piss you off. The thing is, we don't know your friends.
Yeah.
So the reason we have to ask all these questions, because the more we know about your friends, your lifestyle, your friend's lifestyle, your friends, his friends, and the circumstances surrounding today, the more, the easier it's going to be for us to try and solve this.
Professionals explain a suspect reaches the point in an interrogation where they shut down and refuse to talk, it becomes the officer's job to reset the conversation. The goal is to keep asking questions, hoping the suspect either slips up, changes key details, or accidentally reveals something new. That's exactly what happened next. The officer shifted focus and asked Bortland to walk through the exact actions taken during the supposed drive-by. How was he driving? Did he hit anything? The hope was to catch him off guard and expose inconsistencies in his story.
And I'm driving, ducking for my life, trying to make sure I don't get hit. And you telling me you telling me about shit. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to make sure I don't get hit. I'm driving. I'm trying to make sure I don't get hit. You know what I'm saying? What I'm gonna be worried about? You know what I'm saying?
I know it's not for you to worry about.
Shit crazy, bro.
But if you tell me it happened there's got to be some evidence there. There's going to be broken glass, just like there's broken glass over here when you guys open the doors and stuff like that. Okay, there's going to be broken glass over there when the windows got out. There's going to be casings from the people at your car. Okay, there's going to be evidence over there. Okay, right now there's nothing. I kind of think I know what happened because I got information.
As with time running out in their allowed interrogation time, the officer would flat out ask, if you know who did this, would you tell me by just telling me?
By just telling me the truth, even if it's something that I don't want to hear, but I respect the truth rather than BS, okay? And a simple question. If you knew who did this, okay? You may or may not know. If you knew who did this, would you tell me? It's either a yes or no question. Answer.
Honestly.
Yeah, honestly. The truth. You wouldn't?
Because I wouldn't want to be a part of it. I wouldn't want to be.
Notice how Bortland doesn't actually say yes or no out loud, simply shakes his head. If Melly really was the one who committed the crime, Bortland would definitely know, and saying no with his voice could have exposed him. His voice might have cracked or sounded off, which often happens when someone is lying. That kind of change would have been a clear red flag for the officers, signaling that Bortland knows a lot more than he's letting on. But what do you think, like the video, if you're a Melly fan, and drop a comment below with what you believe happened to Sack Chaser and Juvie.